Hey guys, Dark here. So as any of you who have been keeping an eye on the channel have been aware, I'm a bit behind on my videos for leagues. Honestly, my personal life decided to go wild right around when I posted my starter regions video. It was unfortunate timing, and I'm honestly still not fully out of the woods yet, having to deal with things as they happen rather than being proactive about them. But I want to get these videos out. I know we all want to absorb as much League's content as possible, so I figured it would be good time to interrupt the region's video, do a short catch up on all the reveals to this point. So let's go over them a bit. Before we do that though, I just want to remind everyone that I'll be doing some streams to kick off Raging Echoes. I'll be going live on both YouTube and Twitch, starting right at launch and going for 16 plus hours for the first 5 days. Don't expect this kind of stream every day though. I still work and can't guarantee these streams the whole league, but I want to do this while I can. Subscribe to the channel here or hop over and follow me on Twitch to hang out while we're game. I briefly covered days 1 through 4 in my recent region review, but I figured let's get caught up a bit. Day 5 revealed something we knew a little bit about, but gave us a bunch more. A new mechanic for Raging Echoes is that certain items that are dropped by bosses that require multiple components from multiple regions will drop in their completed form. An example of this is the Desert Treasure 2 rings. The Forgotten 4 normally would drop an unusable component vestige. In order to complete the ring, you would need to normally unlock the region the boss is in and from it. Now, instead of the vestige, the ring will drop, allowing it to be usable without that spare region. An example of something that won't change would be a Missouri armor. The armor itself is obtainable within the desert, and in order to get it to its fullest potential, the fortified Missouri armor, you must unlock Asgarnia to get the Armadillo armor. But the armor is usable in its dropped state, so you will have to unlock Asgarnia if you do want to fortify, which you'd probably want to do anyway, as if you're going to take the desert, you're probably going down the range route. Now, this is a pretty big change, and we already knew part of this reveal in the idea that the Twisted Bow, Scythe of Vitor, and Tumeken's Shadow were going to be accessible from all 3 raids. And I covered the Desert Treasure 2 rings. Well, what else has changed, and what regions really benefited from it? Misthalin received a huge buff for being a starter region, with the Tormented Synapse being able to become the Emberlight without an Arclight, and the Dragon Pickaxe being accessible in a completed form from Volcanic Mine. Tyrannin also sorted out a huge gap in its gear by getting a Toxic Trident drop at Zulrah rather than the Magic Fang. Prior to this, Tyrannin's best mage weapon drop was the Mist or Dust battle staves from superior creatures. Fremnik also falls into this category. While not being in as bad a position as Tyrannin, there wasn't much of a magic weapon in the region. Now, the Ancient Icon drops as an Ancient Scepter, which even gives magic damage bonus to the region. Asgarnia and Varlamore both benefit exactly the same from this change. A pair of boots, with the Eternal and Echo boots. Mauritania gets the second biggest buff here, getting 3 items changed. The Grotesque Guardians will drop the Guardian boots instead of the Black Tourmaline core, the Amulet of Rancor instead of the Araxite Fang, and the Avernic Defender instead of the Avernic Hilt. All of these are massive boons for melee takers in Mauritania. Once again, an expected path to take, as many of Mauritania's drops are melee focused. The number 1 region to benefit here, in my opinion, is Karen. Alchemical Hydra drops the Bone Crusher necklace, Ferocious Gloves, and the Dragon Hunter lance. While the necklace's status on usefulness is currently a bit of a mystery, as Karen doesn't have any way to obtain Ecto tokens, the Ferocious Gloves and Dragon Hunter lance will be a huge boost to everyone in the region, whether melee path or not. You can also get the biggest benefit of the Kodai insignia, becoming the Kodai wand. Of course, it won't be your best mage option in Kourend, as you can also get the Shadow from Chambers now, but it's still a great weapon to be able to acquire, especially since mage pairs nicely in Kourend. On the other hand, this doesn't affect the wilderness in the slightest. This is not super surprising, as the wilderness has always been fairly self-contained, but it is good to know. The region it hurts the most is unsurprisingly Kandarin. This league has really seemed to be the shit on Kandarin league. It seems every day the reveals bring forward more information that gives less of a reason to pick the region. First was the Echo bosses and items, with Kandarin's item being by far the weakest, and Fremnik, a region already looking fairly strong in this league, getting items that usurped nearly all of the Zenyte jewelry. Then the Grimoire relic is announced, taking off another feature in the Chivalry and Piety prayers. That leaves relevant items coming from the region being the Kraken Tentacle, the Smoke Battle Staff, and the Dragon Chain Body. The Tentacle is barely an upgrade in DPS over the normal Abyssal Whip, and gives no stat increases when paired with the Trident, so that's unnecessary. The Dragon Chain Body doesn't even have the best drop rate in Kandarin. The Kalphite Queen's drop rate is more common, and the region is more useful. That leaves the Smoke Battle Staff, which you can upgrade to a Mystic Smoke Staff within the same region, which means an added 10% this gives an added 10% accuracy and damage when using standard spells with the staff, and unlimited fire and air runes. What does the Devil's Element do again? Oh yeah, unlimited elemental runes and double 2 elemental weaknesses of NPCs. The Smoke Staff is essentially useless compared to the Devil's Element. That leaves no exclusive, valuable, relevant drop to Kandarin. I should mention that the Occult Necklace is also exclusive to Kandarin, but I didn't bring it up because it's heavily overshadowed by the Amulet of the Monarchs from the Echo Dagonoth Kings. I'll be straight up honest here. If next league is an area restricted league of the same style, then I fully expect Kandarin to be split up and reallocated amongst other regions. Day 6 was the Teleport Relic tier. Being 100% real here, I'm a big fan of these choices. 3 relics, all with great use. The first full return of a relic from Trailblazer Reloaded comes with Fairy's Flight. This relic allows you to teleport to any Spirit Tree, Fairy Ring, or to a Leprechaun in your regions. Most opinions are that this one is underpowered compared to the 2 new teleportation relics, but I will say, as a former Fairy Flights taker, it is solid. It has decent teleports near banks, bosses, and popular skilling locations. Now, I chose it over the Globetrotter relic, which I felt was the better option at the time for me, but these 2 new options are definitely much more competitive. Bank Heist is super underrated right now. You can teleport to any bank in the game, as well as any deposit boxes. This can essentially work like Globetrotter, as many normal spellbook teleports are near banks, but the deposit box also works well. While most bank deposit boxes are near banks, there are some more unique locations like Pier the Seer in Relica, Brianasta in Taibawanai, and the Shiloh Village Mine. Though I think most people have their eyes set on Blue Compass, the 3rd relic choice. This allows you to teleport to any stash unit you have access to, whether or it is built or not, and allows you to teleport to your active clue step. It does need to be the step you most recently read, not just have a clue in your inventory for, but that does mean you can technically farm for a specific teleport if you wish, as there are hundreds of steps across the map. I don't really think there's a wrong choice here, just preference, but if you're wanting to grind points, Blue Compass is most likely your best bet, and Bank Heist is pretty close to most bosses. Day 7 has the most controversial choice so far, I think. As the teaser tweet from the Old School RuneScape team said, it's the return of 2 Titans, though one has been slightly changed. Banker's Note makes its return facing off against a new souped-up Total Recall. Banker's Note is the exact same relic as last time, Banker's Note is the exact same relic as last time, being able to note and unnote items freely anywhere in the world. It has a massive use case for every skill and is viable in both skilling, PVM, and raiding. Now, I'm going to head this off before it's brought up. Yes, Banker's Note is great for players who are not familiar with content to brute force it, but Banker's Note also allows you to never have to leave your location, even to bank loot. It's easy to just stay where you are forever, heal up with noted food and prayer in between kills, and you're good. On the other side is Total Recall. This allows you to set a location on the game map with the hit point, prayer, and special attack levels that you want, and when you interact with the Crystal of Echoes, they'll teleport you back to that location. So set spot with 1 HP and full prayer while wearing Darox, and you can go smack the shit out of some enemies. You cannot set the location inside of raids or other instances, but you can set the location right outside the door, like the entrance to the God Wars bosses. This is great for special attack weapons and for quickly resetting long respawns, but less useful in other skilling methods like turning gathering skills more AFK. I think both of these are very good, and while early polling in the community shows an overwhelming support of Banker's Note, I think these will be much more even once we get some statistics after Raging Echoes has progressed. As for which side I'm on, look, I think they're both great relics. All I'm saying is one of them had to be buffed, and the other was left fully intact. Day 8 is a new variation of the standard farming relic. It's a little different than in the past, but I really like how it changes the skill. When you unlock Overgrown, you'll gain access to the Leprechaun's Vault, which is a portable seed vault. You can carry it around in your inventory or keep it in your bank, but however you choose to do it, that's only the smallest part of this relic. When you plant a crop, so long as you are logged in and have more seeds in the seed vault, the game will automatically harvest, replant, and ultra compost that patch. You will never have to go back to a farming patch unless you want to change out the item being harvested, or you run out of seeds of that type. It turns farming into a truly AFK skill. Seeds will have a 3/4 chance not to consume, which extends the stacks even higher, and everything will be contained to your bank. Now, there are some complications that can come up with this relic, like if you're growing a spirit tree. If you have another spirit tree seed in the vault when the tree is completed, it will replace it with a new one. It will also not give you a chance to roll for the pet, or provide tree roots. On the other hand, tree seeds do not need to be made into saplings, and if you log out prior to a farming tick ending, then the relic will proc upon the passing of the next farming tick after you've logged on. Oh, and I forgot to mention, crops don't die. I really like the way this turns farming into a non-issue. The way I see it is if you are doing content where you can get seeds, like bossing, bring the vault along, store the seeds in there after kills, and never worry about them again. Now this relic is going up against the Grimoire, and a currently unknown third relic that is speculated to probably be some sort of reworked Equilibrium relic, and a lot of people are erring on the side of Grimoire, which I understand. Every spellbook and prayer is big, especially if your regions aren't providing them, but I still think this is worth the investment. You won't have to go out of your way to farm, it'll just happen on the side, and that's a skill completely removed from your training sessions. I'd also like to mention that Mod Rice said something about 4 times growth rates, which Mod Hootie quickly, quote, swore on all the lives of all living animals in this world that 4 times speed is just not a thing in this league. Now, I could believe him, but 2 things. 1, Hootie lies. And 2, this is a matter of semantics. Maybe 4 times doesn't exist, but 3 times or 5 times, or even a progression that includes 4 times in its path, does exist. It's completely reasonable to believe that Hootie would keep us on our toes, and until relic passives are announced, we won't know. Day 9 came at everyone like a truck. I don't think anyone was quite yet expecting an announcement of the entire combat mastery system coming into play here, but they just threw it all out there like dirty laundry. It's a big chart and a lot of pieces to it, so let's break it down. The combat mastery system is a 3-path skill tree, 1 line for each style of combat. There are 10 tasks, and each task gives 1 point towards unlocking a mastery buff, with each mastery costing 1 point. The paths are linear, so you can't pick and choose buffs, each one requires the tier prior. And for the first time you hit each of the 6 tiers, you'll unlock the passive effect for that tier. You may have noticed that I said 10 tasks earlier, and just now 6 tiers. Yes, for the first time in leagues, we'll be able to multi-style combat. Melee-focused mages, mage-focused rangers, tribrid setup buffing all 3, it's up to you. And the best part is that the passive effects benefit all combat styles, not just the ones you used to unlock the tier or the ones you've invested in. So if you didn't get a tier 1 unlock in Mage, you'll still be able to save 95% of runes used to cast spells. Now, the task to gain mastery points is a set list, and if you were set on taking Varlamore to try out Soul Herit, just be prepared. The list has a fairly obvious progression to it. And it is totally reasonable that you can unlock a full tier 6 within 24 hours of game time. But to get the rest of the way may be a bit more challenging depending on your PvM capabilities. The tasks are: defeat a giant, defeat 10 monsters with a combat level of 100 or more, defeat Scurrius by yourself, defeat a monster with a Slayer rec of 55 or higher, defeat Jad in the Fight Caves, reach a combat level of 100, defeat an Echo Boss, defeat 2 unique Echo Bosses, defeat 3 unique Echo Bosses, and defeat Zac. If I'm being honest, if you prioritize your first region to be your weakest Echo Boss, then I think these tasks could be completed the fastest, especially since you get more masteries as you progress. Before getting into the masteries themselves, I just gotta say, I love this system. I think it's really well designed and really fleshed out. It has good progression and it feels like something that I want to engage in. From what I understand, Mod Rice was the creator of this entire system, and he cooked with it. That's some well done rice. Now, the actual masteries are also crazy. Let's cover the passives first. Tier 1 gives you a 95% save on anything that would be consumed in combat. Runes, ammo, charges, you need it to fight, you're saving it. Tier 2 is a 20% increase in healing from all sources. Your 20 hit point shark is now healing you 24. Tier 3 is a 100% increase in accuracy. That's a blanket increase to all styles, making your weaker styles still feel good. Tier 4 is a damage reduction of 15%, a small callback to everyone's favorite absolute unit from Shattered Relics League. Tier 5 is a 25% prayer point gain increase. Prayer Restoration Potions, Moonlight Moss, Zamorak, and Ancient Brews, your prayer restoration is getting buffed up. As for Tier 6, well, this is a little bit of a weird one. Attacks with all styles now have 60% prayer penetration. Currently, I believe only Akka and the Hunlifts have true protection prayers. Malfoy Queen shows them, but it's designed as an indicator on defensive stats, not as true protection. At the same time, some other bosses, like the Grotesque Guardians and Kriara, don't protect against combat styles, but are immune to them. So this buff is a bit weird to have. What does it mean? Well, likely the Echo Bosses will have some sort of protection prayers. I already predicted this to be more relevant with Echo Hunlift, but I'm not surprised to think that they'd add them into other bosses. I wouldn't even be surprised to hear it's going to be reactive prayers. Now, the style buffs themselves are a bit of a different story. Really quick, I just want to knock out Tier 3 and 5. Tier 3 sets your attack rate of your chosen style down to 80% rounded down. Tier 5 is 50% attack rate, with 5 tick or above being rounded down, and 4 tick or below being rounded up. A quick chart to show what that means for weapons based on attack rate is on screen now. That leaves us 4 tiers, and each tier is similarly grouped up. Tier 1 is all about dealing more damage. Melee has a chance to roll damage twice and take the better result. Range introduces a damage floor, and Mage adds in a super buff to your max hit. Tier 2 once again is damage focused, but in a different design. Melee gets to have a chance to roll a slightly weaker Echo hit that does all its own calculations based on your gear. Range starts a cycle of an increased max hit, starting at 0% and increasing by 5%, resetting at 20%, while Mage increases max hit based on time between attacks, capped at 40%. Tier 4 is the healing tier. Melee has a small chance to heal 40% of damage dealt. Range will heal you based on the damage dealt of every 5th hit, and Mage heals 10% of hit points when you hit close to your max. And finally, Tier 6, the crazy stupid buff round. Melee has a 20% chance to have an echo hit, up from the tier 2's 10%. But now each echo can also generate an echo, up to 8 total. It's excessively unlikely, but it would be crazy if it happens. You may be able to one-shot a boss if you are lucky enough. Range is fairly straightforward. You won't miss ever. This does slightly devalue the Dragor blowpipe, as the effect of the weapon is to roll accuracy twice, but to me that makes the Dragor better for non-ranged focused players, letting ranged focused pick up stronger weapons in their off-styles, or just not have to worry about going Tyrannin for the blowpipe. As for Mage, the tier 6 mastery increases your max hit by 1% every 100 hit points remaining on the target, capped at 10%. It also has an added effect similar to Berserker from Trailblazer Reloaded, where if your target has less hit points than your max hit, you will hit max. There's some concern on this, as damage is calculated not on the projectile landing, but rather when you fire the projectile, so it's possible you may not be able to truly benefit from this as you may hope, but I have a feeling that Mod Rice foresaw this problem and worked on some magic in the system. As I said before, I really like what was cooked up here for us. Really well designed, really interesting, and unique. It sounds like it's going to be a ton of fun. I have solid ideas of what I would like to choose, but I'm looking forward to actually being able to try them out. That brings us to day 10, where we were given a quality of life reveal map. These are all just some changes to the game mode that will help everyone out, and there's lots of juicy little nuggets of info here. Rocks, trees, item spawns, and main world NPCs will all have a faster respawn. The base increase is 3 times the normal rate, but it will be much higher in certain cases like Runite Rocks. This will seriously help with resource competition, especially when it comes to the use of Power Miner and Lumberjack. The Sage and Lumbridge will sell the max cape to everyone. While a slight nerf to Asgarnia, this is a massive quality of life improvement, allowing everyone to benefit from its perks. Tormented Demons will be accessible without needing to complete while Guthix sleeps. Since while Guthix sleeps isn't completable in any assortment of regions, it is nice to finally know how we'll be able to kill Tormented Demons. A long asked for change, and honestly one I wouldn't be surprised to make its way into the main game soon. Sarachnis, Cerberus, and the Thermonuclear Smoke Devil will all get instant streams. In line with that, there is no longer a timer when leaving a Dagonoth King's instance. If you're in a clan, the administrators can now toggle league broadcasts, along with letting your clanmates know that your achievement was in Raging Echoes. There's also a couple of small bossing changes. You'll be able to attack Zulrah with melee, and there's no damage cap, so have fun breaking out the halberds or Nature's Reprisal. With the Duke, you'll be able to farm kills faster there, as starting the fight will no longer remove potions and ingredients from your inventory. In line with bossing updates, if you unlocked any pet cosmetic overrides in Trailblazer Reloaded, you'll have access to those now and going forward in leagues. Lastly, something many people were asking for, rather than receiving a Twisted Bow, Scythe of Vitor, or Tumekin's Shadow, you will receive a Mega Rare voucher. Turn this into the Sage and Lumbridge, and you'll get to pick your weapon. No more worrying about getting the Mega Rare you want, and no more worrying about dupes after. I want to say I personally think there are more quality of life updates that aren't being mentioned here, and we won't find out until sometime between November 25th and launch time. The 11th day of reveals provided us with another full tier of relics. Just from reading through these, I'm definitely getting tier 2 vibes. Good but not too good, strong but not powerful, and useful early into late game. Starting off is Friendly Forager. You'll get a Forager's Pouch unlocking this relic, which acts similar to and shares an inventory with the Herb Sack. While doing gathering skills or hunter, the pouch will find grimy herbs based on your herb lore level and provide small amounts of experience for it. You'll also get a 90% chance to not consume secondaries, which will stack additively with other sources, and you will always make 4-dose potions. The next option is Corner Cutter, which brings back the Sage's Greaves, providing agility experience as you run. Courses will count as 2 laps with this relic, and you will get 25% more experience per lap. Getting a Mark of Grace also means getting a 10,000 coin drop, and you will receive doubles of Pyramid Tops, Hollowed Marks, Brimhaven vouchers, and Crystal Shards. Finally, Dodgy Deals is a 100% success rate for all thieving checks, and you will automatically re-pickpocket an NPC or stall until you no longer can. Items obtained from pickpocketing are noted, and your maximum pouch count is 3 times larger. Along with that, if you pickpocket an NPC, you'll get extra loot equal to the amount of similar NPCs in an 11 by 11 square around you. These are really solid relics, and I see lots of cannibalized pieces from previous relics in here, and you can't really go wrong. These relics were announced with the tag, "What's your least favorite skill?" and these definitely will help some of the least popular. Heading off some lines of thought that I've seen in terms of Forager, since its potion effect is additive, you can use the goggles from Mastering Mixology to save 100% of secondaries. This is true, but based on how potion making works, and has always worked in leagues, you will still need more than one secondary to auto-make a full inventory. So if you want to do 14 potions, you will need 14 secondaries, but never more. If you unlock the reagent pouch, you will need 27, but never more. Using one will only make one potion, regardless of the amount of vials in your inventory. Definitely looking forward to unlocking this tier, and like I said, it'll be an early unlock, I'm positive. Thanks for joining in my reveal review catch-up. There's been a lot going on in the League's world, and while I can't do daily videos like some of my more popular counterparts, I hope you're enjoying the videos as they come out. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what your thoughts on the reveals have been so far, if you made any plans set in stone, or what you hope to hear soon. I'm still waiting to hear about a Production Prodigy remake, by far my favorite relic type in Leagues. With that, keep up the hype, and I will see you in the next one.